Welcome everyone today and good afternoon to today's webinar presentation, which is Transforming Supply Chain Manufacturing with Microsoft Cloud and AI. Prem, if you could just advance the slides, I appreciate that. So we have a pretty full agenda today. We're going to spend the first 15 minutes really just going through a couple of things here, talk to you about the Brightpoint journey. We've been in business for well over a decade and a half. We'll just give you a little bit of an overview of our organization. What are some of our differentiators? What have we been doing in the market? And our value proposition for manufacturers. We'll touch just a little bit on our achievements, and then we can get into some of our industry and technology expertise. We're going to showcase today Microsoft Dynamics Finance and Operations in the context of manufacturing production, and highlight our AI solutions, which we'll get a little bit more into in this presentation. So just wanted to give you just a quick overview of the agenda here. Once I wrap up the first 15 minutes, we'll go into a demonstration of F&O, which will really focus on production and quality control, asset maintenance, and focus on a couple of our AI solutions, which is DefectGuard and object detection. And then we'll talk about some of our real-world use cases, and then we'll wrap it up with a little bit of Q&A. So all up is about a 90-minute presentation today. Let's proceed. So first, we'll introduce a couple of the main presenters for today. Just some housekeeping items here. All mics are muted. So if there's any questions that you do have, just kindly put them into the chat here in this meeting, and then we could answer them in real time, or we could save them towards the end and have a discussion around that. The last portion of this demonstration, we can address some of your specific questions. So we look forward to that engagement. So my colleague here on the left, Kumara, is our Chief Strategy Officer here at Brightpoint Infotech, and he's going to be walking through finance and operations today, focusing on the manufacturing functionality. And then I'm also joined by Deepika, who is our CEO at Brightpoint AI. We'll talk about what we're doing in the world of manufacturing, specifically with a couple of our AI solutions, and then myself as the head of sales here for North America. So first up, I just want to give you just a quick overview of Brightpoint Infotech. You recognize the brand here on the left side of the screen. Like I had mentioned, we've been in business for well over a decade and a half, and we've grown through a number of mergers and acquisitions, and also some organic growth. And at a high level, we are a global technology consulting firm. We have 6 offices all around the globe, here in North America, Canada, United States, UAE, Africa, and we have about 100+ personnel. And for those of you that have been working with us, our core competency is all around digital transformation, and specifically when it comes to implementations of Microsoft business applications. We are a Microsoft solution provider. We're certified, and what you'll learn today, we have deep manufacturing industry expertise, and we deliver essentially tailored solutions for finance, supply chain, production, quality, and advanced warehouse management. And then on the right-hand side here, you'll see Brightpoint AI. It's our sister company. We've been in business for a few years. We are essentially an AI solution provider, and we have deep expertise in the areas of computer vision, natural language processing, and machine learning. And we're going to focus today in today's presentation, a couple of our AI solutions, which is defect detection and object detection. We also have a couple of other offerings under Brightpoint AI when it comes to automating document management and digital assistance. So the output that you would get from these types of solutions, or it's going to be deep analytics. So anything when it comes to, quality control and defects, when you're looking at defect rates, root cause analysis, learning more about production efficiency when it comes to, good products versus defects, maintenance and downtime. So we'll focus on a few of those key areas today, and the analytics that's going to present that data. Next slide, please. So I want to just really focus here on, what we're trying to solve in the market. So like, what is the real problem statement here? And some of the main challenges that are faced with manufacturers today is not exclusive, but some of the top three main challenges in the manufacturing space is coming around increased costs. So anything to do with raw material prices, labor costs, supply chain complexities. I think COVID-19 really exposed the fragility in the supply chains, logistics when it comes to increased fuel costs, and just overall challenges, maintaining high standards, which is where, quality control and regulatory compliance comes into play here. So how does Brightpoint AI help, and, what you're going to learn today? So really around, how automation, specifically defect and object detection, can provide some solutions. And our AI solutions will showcase, high-speed processing of large volumes of products, identifying anomalies with higher accuracy compared to manual inspections, faster quality assurance, so reducing labor costs, higher throughput, and reducing the waste in production, so catching defects in the production process, decrease material waste, lower cost reworks. And then ultimately, we're trying to achieve here is, enhance the supply chain and inventory management. So improve inventory planning and smooth supply chain operations. And that's what we're really here to talk about today, solving those problems, addressing solutions to help in those areas. Now, in addition to that, like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we are a very well-established Microsoft partner. So we provide solutions well beyond the ERP solution that we're going to showcase today. So we provide solutions for advanced analytics and data warehousing, which is Power BI for data visualization, SharePoint services, Azure. We'll focus on AI detect and object detection. We can talk about document intelligence suite, and then any needs for AI digital assistants. And then on the right-hand side here, in addition to digital transformation and implementation, we provide business process reengineering, human resource and payroll transformations. And then last, we'll end our presentation more with a call to action when it comes to our AI assessments. So where we recommend starting, how you start, and what is expected from both parties in order to be able to engage in these types of AI initiatives. Next slide. And then just some of the highlights here, achievements that our organization has accomplished over the past year. We're a fast-growing company, Stevie Award winner, Business of the Year finalist, achievements in customer satisfaction, and we're the top 100 companies in America. So just to highlight a couple of our achievements here to let you know that we're a very experienced, competent organization. And then what I'd like to do here is just give you just a quick overview of Microsoft Dynamics Finance and Operations. Kumar is going to demonstrate specifically the production process, quality, but just at a very high level. For those of you that are familiar with finance and operations, it is a unified platform that connects all your departments from finance to supply chain to operations. It has the modular flexibility, so you can deploy what you need and scale functionality as required. It is scalable, so you can grow without any infrastructure limits. It's a cloud-based solution, so it's secure, reliable, flexible cloud-based infrastructure. And then what you'll learn is it seamlessly integrates into your existing Microsoft investments. That could be Microsoft 365, it could be Teams, it could be Power BI for data visualization to give you those real-time analytics. So just to give you just a quick overview of the solution, I'd like to hand it over now to Kamara, where we can get into the demonstration and talk about production and quality. And then after he wraps up, we'll then get into more of our AI solutions. So hopefully this was informative, and we really look forward to the rest of this presentation.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for that wonderful introduction, insightful information. Hope you all can hear me good. Kumar Vijayan, you can call me Kumar. And I'm just going to walk you through quickly the dynamics, finance, and supply chain at a very high level, because the time is too short and we have packed a punch into the whole time frame. Give me a second. I'm just trying to share my screen. I hope everybody can see my screen. So I'm going to spend a few minutes to familiarize you. Some of you might be new to this product. So I'll familiarize you with the UI, and then from there on, I'll go from asset management to production and then quality. I can talk about each of these for an hour, but since it's going to be within the timeline, so I'll give you a high-level overview. I would like to start from the outcome, what we can get, right? So the proof of the pudding is what you can get out of the system rather than what you give it, right? So, so this is the landing page for finance and supply chain, and it was previously called finance and operations. All that you see, on the lot of tiles that you see in the middle right here, these are called workspaces. We call them tiles and workspaces. So these are nothing but a summary of information. It's like, your role-tailored dashboard. Let's say, for example, let's go to one of these, for you to get an idea about what I'm talking about. If it's employee development, then, we can just go in there and it'll just give you a role-tailored experience, wherein there is some analytics where Power BI is included into it, which will load some information. Probably I'll pick up another one. Let me go to the production floor management, right? This gives you a flavor for, when a production floor supervisor logs in, this could become his or her landing page where they can just look at only the relevant information what they want to see. And what you see here is the out-of-the-box production floor management workspace, so we call it. Now this can be configured so that it can look like the way you want to see it. So we can add additional tiles here as well, and we can add additional links here, right here where I'm highlighting. We can add the forms that you would want to access or you access on a regular basis. So you don't have to navigate through the product to reach where you want to reach, right? So I'll quickly walk you through the navigation on the left. What you see here is a home, there is a favorite. So whenever you see any of the forms here, which I'll take you in a minute, you can star the forms and it's going to appear in your favorites, and there is recents, there is workspaces, and here comes the modules. So there are 30 plus modules in finance and supply chain, all rolled up into one single licensing. So they made the licensing as easy as possible for the customers. So when you buy finance and supply chain, you get the licensing for all of these things, 30 plus modules, and it's all about the implementation that we do. Now, having said that, on the left that you see here is the place where you can select the sessions. And the interesting thing is the work items assigned to me that I'm highlighting here. This brings up all the electronic workflows that are waiting for your action. So let's say a purchase requisition has been created or a maintenance request has been created and it's been sent for approval. The supervisor, when he or she logs in, will be able to see it here. Okay, and you can have your own to-do lists, and I'm all caught up on my tasks. This is the way we want to see it, right? So Having said that, the UI, they're trying to make it as easy as possible. And if you look at it, it'll kind of look like Outlook to you, Outlook, kind of a UI. Um, so that's pretty much about it. There are some, cosmetic functions like you can change the size, the colors, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go there. I would want to take you directly to the main presentation, which is asset management. Now, asset management, I would call it as asset maintenance because basically what it helps you do is creative and preventive maintenance of your assets. Assets could be your equipments, it could be your machines, right? So let's look at, this is a good place to start. Let me take you to maintenance request management workspace. Now, right away, I see here what are my active maintenance requests without work orders, active maintenance requests that do have a work order, and so on and so forth. So this is what I was telling you. If I'm a maintenance engineer, I just log in, I get to see like, what are the ones that I need to work on, right? And the interesting thing is here, tucked away, beside the workspace, the analytics is powered by something called Power BI. Power BI is again part of the Microsoft Dynamics stack. It's self-serve business intelligence software. So when I say self-serve, it's kind of low code. So which means if you're trained and if you can get trained on this to understand what information you want to see in the report or a dashboard, then you can create your own reports. It's pretty easy in terms of dragging and dropping and creating these interesting visualizations that you see here. So what you see here is the maintenance request insights. So pretty much it gives you, and it's an interactive report. So let's say like, I want to see by area, I click on it, and then the whole report is now trying to pull information from the system, and then it changes a little bit. Probably you didn't see that difference, but let's say if I do this, only classifier, you see that change in the report. So the dashboard is pretty interactive. So it pulls real-time information from the database. And this is embedded within finance and supply chain itself. And it is available as a standard dashboard that you can use from day one. What is interesting to me is, did you know? So this is kind of an insight that the system gives you. Mechanic is the most required trade skill, and corrective is the most created request type. I would want this to be preventive, but if it's corrective, then there are a lot of machines that are going down, and I need to figure out why it's happening, right? So in one dashboard, you get to see and understand where you need to focus your efforts on, like the request by trade, which is the most requested trade here. Is it mechanic? It's electrician. What is it? What is by life cycle state? Why are so many in progress? What's stopping us to complete these? And request request by request type, the maintenance jobs type, and here are the list of assets that are undergoing maintenance, right? So this is one view. Now there is also a maintenance request details view, which is kind of typical view that we are used to seeing in Excel. So you can get both the experiences in terms of what you get in Excel plus what you get out of a visualization software. Yeah. Having said that, every module has its own set of canned Power BI reports that comes with the solution. So once you have data in the system, you can start utilizing them. And we have also done custom Power BI dashboards if these don't fulfill your requirements. That's something that we are capable of doing. We do it all the time, right? So same way for work order management, we have another workspace, but I'm sure you got the idea. So now let's go to the actual areas of transaction, wherein here is where you go and capture all your assets. I'll just quickly open it up and show it to you. So assets can be captured here, all types of machines, equipments, all of that can be captured here. And I'll just highlight only a few areas in this before I go to the next one. So here, this portion is important, the fixed asset section that you see here, an asset that you create under your asset management or maintenance module can be tied or linked to the resource in your production module. At the same time, you see here MACH 005 is the fixed asset number. Fixed asset is part of your finance. So you do have an option to interconnect multiple modules from the maintenance module. So what this means is basically your cost that you incur on maintaining this asset could go in as depreciation in the fixed assets module. And any downtime that you record on any of these assets or equipments could go and impact your overall production schedule. So that's the whole idea in terms of connecting these modules together, right? Um, so that's with respect to assets, and each of these forms, we call them as forms. So each of these forms, you have different views. There is an interesting view here, which is an asset view, which gives you the flexibility to look by location or, by location. And within the location, I think you will have raw materials alone, what are the machines that are there in the raw material storage location, so on and so forth. All right, so that's with respect to the assets. Functional locations are the physical locations where the assets are available, right, which you can use. So I'm going to take you straight to maintenance request. I'm going a little fast, so please bear with me because, within the time span, I need to cover a lot. So this will give you an overview of, what the product can offer. So maintenance request. So maintenance requests are simple. You can create a maintenance request and say like, my forklift is leaking, hydraulic fluid, and, blah, blah, blah. You can go ahead and create it. There is a service level tied to it. What is the type of request? It's a corrective or a preventive request. And then, the rest can come in terms of, so there is also electronic workflow that can be configured in the system to route it through the right person within the maintenance department to approve it, or is it something that they can go and visit and fix it, and then close this maintenance request, so on and so forth. So you can manage all of that within the maintenance request form. Okay, once the maintenance request is created, you see right here, you can go ahead and launch a work order from here. Work order is where the real work happens, right? So I'm moving to work order. So that's a flow. You create an asset in the system. You identify the asset to a function location. Then once you have a maintenance request, the request gets created and the request gets converted into a work order, and you go ahead and execute the work order. Now you see here there are different. The work order type shows here as preventive. Okay, so it will call out clearly like if it's a preventive or a corrective work order. Okay, so there are different types of, there is also safety work orders and corrective work order. I'll go to the one. So this is a corrective work order, which I said, it's a repair, which is a function location where written, what is the trade that is required, and so on and so forth. So I can go ahead and dispatch this and schedule this particular work order, and I can assign, the preferred service technician who has to be part of this. And then in case I need to go ahead and initiate. So this is the most powerful feature that I like about finance and supply chain, because it's kind of integrating to all the other modules seamlessly. So this helps you go ahead and create a purchase requisition. So let's say a machine is broken, or it's malfunctioning, and you need a part for it. You need to go ahead and raise a purchase requisition for the work order. So right from within the work order, you can launch a purchase requisition, see it through the procurement cycle. So raise a requisition, it goes through an approval, then gets created or converted into a purchase order. You receive the products, and the products are available in the system for you to consume against the work order. So it's all tightly integrated. If you see here, there are, if you need to assemble a part, in your shop floor for you to fix, some parts, some machines, so then you can go ahead and launch a production work order from here as well. And so this is vice versa. From production work orders, also you can go ahead and create maintenance work orders that, some machine is malfunctioning and, I want to raise a maintenance request for there. Okay. What else we would like to see? There are, aside from this maintenance request, you can, right. So you can have maintenance checklists, the one I'm highlighting from the top. So you can create maintenance checklists. These can be tied to the type of maintenance request that was created, and we can have a checklist that needs to be done by the service technician. And if we want to register as downtime for a particular machine for you to perform the maintenance activity, then you can go ahead and register a downtime for that particular asset. And asset counters is an interesting feature again. What this does is basically if you want to, let's say, collect the data from your machines, and there is a way to collect the data from the machines, through IoT. And let's say it's a furnace, And if so many pieces are going into the furnace, then the furnace requires a maintenance. Say, for example, it's not a, it doesn't fall into, it kind of falls into a preventive maintenance bucket, but it's not based on, a time period or a frequency at which you keep doing it, again and again. It's kind of in between. So you can drive it through the asset counter. The counter can be integrated. This is where the intelligent data gathering comes in and collected. Then based on that, it can kick off a maintenance request that so many pieces have gone through the furnace. Now it's time for you to launch a maintenance activity for it. So that's with the asset counters. And when you need to consume, let's say, for example, the next piece is the work order is in motion, and the maintenance engineer has been assigned. He or she goes there, and they want to add additional, if they want to add hours that they worked on this particular job, or if they want to consume any items that they've consumed, consumables, it could be, that they want to consume against this particular work order, or any other out-of-pocket expenses that they've done in terms of traveling, or any other consultant that you brought in for a specific issue to be fixed, and so on and so forth, can be recorded from within the work order itself. We can use the work order journals. And all these gets booked with the work order itself, right? Asset maintenance, the only area where I feel that like asset maintenance is lacking is that, like, this is primarily meant for your own internal assets that you want to maintain. You won't be able to do a billing to a customer based on this module. That's the only piece that's not there. But otherwise, internally managing or maintaining all your assets can be handled through this. The process that I explained right now is more of a corrective maintenance process where you found an issue, you raise an issue, raise a request, and then it becomes a work order, and then it gets addressed. So there's another section called maintenance plans, which allows you to define plans either by your machines, or it could be by function location. So here are the maintenance plans that I say, like, this is a plan date, and you can define tolerances. I'm not going to each and every field, but the overall idea is you can define here, this is a machine that I want it to be serviced weekly, and the trade that is required for it, right? And what's the approximate time it's going to take for me to complete this maintenance activity, and so on and so forth. I can add the assets here, So these are the list of assets. We can also define what is the starting date for each of the asset for the maintenance plans. Once you create it and once you launch it, and that's where you saw when I opened the all work orders window, you saw a lot of preventive maintenance work that has got created. So it's good, and it would go ahead and create the preventive maintenance work. Now you might ask, if it's going to launch all of the preventive maintenance works for a year or for 6 months, how do I filter it out? And it's going to be unmanageable. Now that's where the views come in terms of, one is we can control it through a parameter that it will launch for the next few months and not for the whole year. But in case even if it launches, the views is something that is available across the solution for each of the forms, where the views help you, filter out, that, for a time period, all the columns that are available here are available for you to filter. It's pretty intuitive that way. And we can create views for every week or, every month, and then, only those work orders will be available in those views. And these views can be shared to the other users in the organization. So that's with respect to a very high level overview of the asset maintenance module. Okay. Premjit, just check on the time, because I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm moving over to the production control module. Now, this is a big piece. Again, I can talk about it for hours, because there is so much to talk about, honestly speaking. So I'm going to keep it simple. Again, like, I'll give you, so workspaces is something we have already looked at. Now I'm going to take you straight to the production work orders. Okay, now production work orders can land here from two different ways, or in fact, three different ways. One is, like, manually we can create production work orders right within the screen, right? That's one way of doing it. The second way is for the master planning engine to populate these work orders here, wherein we would have done the master planning related setups and say like, either, if the stock goes down by so much, there are different methodologies or planning strategies that you can configure in the system for a made to order, made to stock scenarios, configure to order scenarios, or it's a reorder based, reordering based planning scenarios. All these are covered in the master planning, module. There is a module out there for master planning itself. So through the master planning, the production orders could land here. I think the two ways. The third way is also something called an order-based planning. So let's say you are a made to you are a out and out made to order kind of a scenario where a customer order comes in is when you want to launch your production order, then you can launch production orders from the sales orders directly. That's where you see here, like, the reference type I'm highlighting here. The reference type is sales order because these all have been launched from the sales order. The ones that you see here, production line, are basically, sub-components for which production orders have been launched by the parent production order. So that's also possible. If you have different levels in your production process where subcomponents gets produced first before the final assembly of the final finished product, then that's something that you can automate in the system, that you launch a production order for the finished product and it'll launch the production orders for all the subcomponents. Now, you might be thinking like, why did I jump straight to production orders and why did I not go through the standard? Okay, this is the master data for it, and because we are familiar with the master data, and so the master data required for production is basically your bill of material and routes. Okay, so once you define the BOMs and the routes in the system, when you create a production work order, system copies those BOMs into the production work order times the number of quantities you want to produce. Now, if the BOM is defined for one piece, for producing one finished good, I need XYZ quantities of different products, then it's going to, and if you want to launch a production order for 10 pieces, it's going to copy that BOM over here times 10, the quantities that is required. So that's the simple math the system does. And when I'm talking about BOMs, it's important for me to mention that there are overall, if I would say, 3 different manufacturing methodologies that companies follow. One is process, which is done by process industries like cement and pharma, and those kind of industries. There is another one called discrete manufacturing, which produces unique products. And the third is basically your repetitive manufacturing, which is kind of a production factory model where, like, every 2 minutes a car comes out. So that's like, a factory model. Finance and supply chain works beautifully for process and for discrete manufacturing kind of scenarios. We have implemented for a repetitive manufacturing company. The only challenges in terms of, like, creating production orders every month for the quantities that you want to produce. Other than that, I think, like, everything else is handled by the product pretty beautifully. Okay. And we call it as BOM, and that's why you see here, like, there is something called ingredients. Ingredients is primarily from a formula standpoint, because for process manufacturing companies, they call it as formula. For discrete manufacturing, they call it as BOMs. Okay. So I'm not going deep into this again, but yes, the BOM is in same way, like, if you go here and see, there is a route. Route is nothing but a sequence of steps that you got to do to convert the raw materials into finished product. So here I have, a bunch of activities that I would want to do probably to convert this into a finished product. Okay. And okay. Let me take one that is created but not ended. All right. So here we are in the same place. Now, for discrete manufacturing, production orders are used, and for process manufacturing, batch orders are used. Okay, so that's the differentiation. And instead of BOM, it will be formula, and here it is called, BOM. That's the difference. Okay, now once the production order is created, these are the different steps that we need to follow to complete a production work order. Estimate basically gives you an estimate. So I was just explaining you. When you go to the BOM, it brings you the BOM based on the quantity that is required for this production work order to be fulfilled. So that's estimation in terms of quantities, and in terms of route will tell you what are the start times and end times each of the activity has to happen, which is where the scheduling is also happening at the back end, considering or factoring in your capacity of the machines, capacity of the resources that you have in your shop floor. So system does all of that, and it has provisions to capture both the available capacity with respect to machines and equipments, and available capacity with respect to labor. All that can be captured in the system, using the routes. Okay. Now, once we estimate, then the next process is to go ahead and release the production work order. Once you release the production work order, it's available for the shop floor, workers to go ahead and start executing this production work order, right? Once they start executing the production work order, they pick the material and then they consume the material. They can post, so there is also a mobile warehouse management piece, which is again a full-blown advanced warehouse management functionality, excuse me, where you can actually go and pick up material by scanning the barcodes in the material, or the barcodes in the pallets, and you will be able to move the products from one location to another location, or effect consumption of the products within a production work order. Um, the pick work, the picking and consumption of the items, or booking the actual consumption of the material that is used in the production work order, is possible in workspaces where the frequency or the velocity of the work is not high. If the velocity of work in the shop floor is pretty high, then it's going to be counterintuitive for us to have people going and updating all of this on a regular basis, which is where the system can help you by having a backflushing functionality, wherein if you, at the time of creating a production work order, we can do a backflush or forward flush, where all the material expected to be consumed in the production gets consumed, and the ones that are yeah, you can do either a forward flushing, or you can do a backward flushing at the time of ending the production work order, or finishing the final product, right? So there comes the start for consumptions, and if you go here, you can see these are the picking list journals. There is a route card journal, and there are job cards. So there are two varieties of operations that we can handle. One is at an operation level, another one is a job level. Difference is, operation level will look at cutting as one operation. Job level will look at cutting as let's say, for example, there is a machine setup that needs to be done before the cutting of a certain style or certain product. Then that will create two different jobs, one for setup and one for the actual process. So that's your job scheduling, right? So that said, and go back to the production order. So once you release it, then you can post the consumption of the products, and you can then go ahead and post the times that you've spent on this production work order. After that, you can come in and say report is finished. Report is finished is basically saying that I'm declaring so much is a good product and so much is a bad product, and that's when the finished product comes into your inventory. Okay. The scheduling that is available in the system, you can do schedule operations, jobs. There's a Gantt chart view that you can have a look at it. And the interesting thing that I want to show you here is calculation details. This is, sure why this is not showing. Okay, let me just try and pick up another order, which is ended probably there I'll be able to see it. Production work orders. Okay, I'm gonna take this one, go to view calculations. There you go. Okay, so this is the overview of the estimation. What is the total cost? I'll directly take you to the costing sheet. This is what makes it interesting. Of course, the material cost is still not yet posted here, but the way this works is you can have the breakup of your cost defined the way you want. So Overall, there are three different types of costs, right? There is material cost, there is a labor cost, and there are overheads, high level. And of that, we can then bifurcate. It's a direct material, indirect material. Material, not so much, but labor, yes, direct and indirect labor, direct overheads and indirect overheads, and so on. So you can go to that level of detail in defining, how do you want this to be configured for your company? And these are all driven by something called as a cost group, which can be tagged at the item level, at the operation level. And the overheads is an interesting thing here. Let me just show you the overview costing for you to understand this better. Now, if you focus on the last line here, this is based on machine depreciation, the overheads. It's output unit based, which means based on the number of output that has got declared, or the finished product that has got produced, there is a value that we are assigning it to every production order. That this is the cost. Let's say $10 have to be loaded for every production work order for every piece that is getting produced, right? So again, there are different models here. One is based on the output units. It could be based on a percentage of raw material being used, percentage of the runtime cost, and so on. So there are flexible ways in which we can define the costing, for you to define the product costing, and this is available right within the production order itself for you to see. And there is also one more where you can compare your view cost comparisons. This will give you a comparison between your estimated cost, and your what is your unit cost, right? So that's there. And now what's the outcome that I get from the production module? I showed you some outcome in the maintenance module. So if we go to inquiries and reports, and I would like to see the production performance. Now, what this is doing is real time, it is collecting information from the database because it is embedded within the finance and supply chain. It renders the output like this. So those are some of the interesting dashboards that you get, production by time. Okay, how many of them are on time? Okay, if this is not really visible to you, I can go to the focus mode where you can see the number of productions by date, and this is showing on time in full. I think my timeline is too big, which is why it is bringing you everything. Let me just, so there is also a drill down feature where I can drill down and go to November, January, March, May, right? And how is it arriving at this number? So there's two arrows that you see on top. This tells you there is a drop down that's available for you. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Okay, it's not liking it. Production performance. Okay. This is one of the views, and what I wanted to show you is this experience, because I can change the lever here, and it's gonna real time, which I already explained it to you. It's that the report is interactive, but the idea is you get it. This is a very interactive dashboard that you can work with. Production by product, what are the production? Bottom 10 products by on time and in full. So the other important thing is on the right side, you see these filters here. And these are available for you there are some pre-filtered conditions that have been added. You're allowed to go ahead and change them. I want to go ahead and add a specific group. I can go ahead and add a specific group here. I would want to see the whole dashboard change based on that. So aside from the interactive way in which you can control the report from clicking on the report itself, you also have the option to control the report outcome by the slicers that are available on the right. Yeah. Now this is one of the dashboards. There is another one called defects by products. This is what Shannon was mentioning in the start of the call, that we'll touch upon this. What is the defect rate, and what is the quantity produced by date? What is the PPM? Okay, for the products, and the defects trend by product. You can see the defects trend by product, and you can also simulate this to see how it works, right? It's giving you by product how it works. So there is a slight simulation that's happening here. defects by resource. Yeah, defects trend by resource. Yeah, again, this is visualization of how things are moving, right? And then production variance for job order costing. It's an interesting report. What is the favorable variance and unfavorable variances that the system, I mean, that is created during the production process is something that you can readily review here. Again, these are the standard dashboards that is available where you can look at defects, you get the overall production performance, and you look at the variances, very high level. And these are changing. So far in the last year, I have seen those reports change because there are additional features. The simulation wasn't there before, got added some time back. So these are constantly getting updated with the latest and greatest, right? I'll touch upon one area which is very important for this audience to know right before I hand it over to Deepika, because that's basically why the cloud solutions are so what you call so successful and being used across, right? So that's the proof of pudding for the production process. And I think I still have time. So I am going to take you to the inventory management process. Is there anything else? And before I go there, so the production process, this is just for your, knowledge. There is also a manufacturing execution system where there are job terminals that are available where you can have terminals in the shop floor where you can do start and end of the jobs that I just showed you, that part of the job scheduling that you can start and end it using the shop floor terminals that's available, again, out of the box functionality. There is an engineering change management, module that is available, which takes care of if you are a design to or a configure to order, design to order kind of a company, there'll be a lot of design changes, that you keep doing to your products. And you want to understand, if I'm going to make a change to a product, how it's going to impact the downstream processes. So there is an engineering change management. It gives you an overall idea about what are the downstream processes that are going to be affected if you make this change on the product level. So product revisions are possible in the system. Um, the sensor data intelligence is basically where you collect key metrics from your shop floor. This is primarily around today, around the downtime that we saw in the maintenance module. We can have the downtimes from the machines and being given to the system to record the downtimes in the system so that it can immediately have an impact on your overall planning process and scheduling process. Okay. Uh, Again, there is a Kanban or a just-in-time manufacturing module. We have tried it for a couple of customers. This is available, and right. And every module has its own bunch of reports, like what you see here. That is called inquiries and reports. So every module has its own set of reports that you can look at. Production reports, resources-based reports, capacity reservations report, work in process reports, cost analysis reports, and so on and so forth. Okay. That's with respect to the production module. I know it was too fast, but that's what it is. And let's go to the third piece of the presentation, which is the quality management process. The quality management process is tucked into your inventory management. It's not available, yeah, right here. So you see this this kind of quality management is tucked into the inventory management process, which makes sense. It has a decent level of quality control and quality management that you can do in the system. Okay, it starts from your right from purchase receipts to production to shipping. Aside from that, if you have ad hoc spot checks that you want to do or quality audits, spot audits that you want to do in the shop floor, you are having provisions to do that as well. But let me just take you to the quality orders straight away. And these quality orders could be launched. So whatever you see here in terms of the reference type is from purchase. And I think there are a couple of them which are created by production. So this is one from sales. So quality orders can be auto launched on preset processes in the system, um, where it could be from a product receipt, it could be from a production order job posting, it could be from a packing slip posting, and so on and so forth. So we can define it. I'm not going to bore you with the setups, but the quality module per se, the quality orders can be launched from um, it can be launched automatically from various different modules in the system. Now, once launched, okay, the quality order can have like, which is the item for which you are doing this quality for. And this is an interesting feature that has come up. Like, what you see on the right side, summary by Copilot, is basically creating a summary for you, for the product. Okay. Now that's another big piece that is getting integrated. Copilot is getting integrated with, finance and supply chain at a faster pace. We can already see that in other modules reflecting already, because sales orders, purchase orders, and product information management, it has already started integrating with finance and supply chain. Production, I'm yet to see, but I'm seriously looking at, like, some of these areas where it can throw you insights, which would really help us understand, rather than going through the individual transactions, right? So the quality orders, once they are launched, then it tells you, like, which is the site and which is the warehouse for which it is done, what is the test group that, so you can have test groups created for the list of tests that you would want to perform for a particular quality order. And what are the quantity could be, like, for the total quantity of the order, which it could be a purchase order, a production order, or a sales order, or it could be a sampling, which is a percentage of the quantity that is there in the source document, right? Now, once that quality order is getting launched, then the tests here will tell you, like, what are all the tests that we need to do here. And for each of these tests, we can have a standard, like I'm highlighting here. There is a minimum, there is a maximum, what is the tolerance allowed, and so on and so forth, right? So you can pretty much define, what you're testing, what are the specifications of the test, what is the outcome, and what range it has to fall into. And the user has to probably come in, and then update here what is the outcome. Based on the result, what they enter, the outcome, the system will calculate whether it is a pass or a fail. Now, the interesting aspect here is we can do a couple of things when it fails, right? You see there's update inventory status is one, and there was one more. Yeah, quarantine upon validation failure. This is an interesting, subject, because once a quality order is created and the test is run, and let's say, like, it is fail, and you can then let the system know, once I fail it, please go ahead and create a quarantine order for me, which helps me do a non-conformance and a corrective action, and so on and so forth. If you want to repair and then bring it back into your inventory, you can just quarantine first, so that it doesn't get consumed for production by chance. Because so finance and supply chain does have inventory control on quality order. So if a quality order is launched, the inventory is reserved against the quality order, so it won't be getting issued for any material issue purposes, right? So the quarantine order can then help you launch the non-conformance. So I'm not going to go into quarantine order and how we can execute it and all of that, but you can just understand the quality order is one piece. From the quality order, you can have a quarantine order, which allows you to split the quantities and say that this piece I can bring it back to my stock, and this piece, these quantities I would want to perform some kind of corrective action on it. And that's where non-performances kick in. So you can create a non-performance for a particular quarantine order, and or even for a quality order, you can create a non-performance, and you can have a printout of that. There is also a non-performance tag that you can print out, if you're doing spot checks, spot audits. Let me just have a look. This is a standard non-conformance report that's there in the system out of the box. But yes, typically we would be modifying these reports to suit the customer's needs. I hope it gives me some data. Oh yeah, so that's nice. So this is the basic information that's available out there. What's the product type, who's the employee, what's the item number, what's the defective quantity, what's the unit, approved by, reused or refused by. Okay. Treatment not required or treatment required is yes, then you create a corrective action on it and then close the non-conformance and then issue it back, or take an appropriate call. So corrections is not available here, I think, because the non-conformance of this line item is still not approved, but the non-conformance that I've created here is approved, which is why it's letting me create a corrective action for this. Okay. So there are a whole bunch of activities that you can do here, refuse the non-conformance, close the non-conformance, generate a rate to non-conformances, and so on and so forth. Excuse me. Okay. Right. And from the quality orders, you can also create certificate of analysis, which is directly available. What else is there in quality? Okay. So I didn't cover all of this, but just for your knowledge, quality has a lot of setups, wherein you can have the test instruments, variables, groups, and all of that. The only setup that I would want to show you before I wind up would be, this is the only setup that is an interesting setup, because here is where you can define whether the quality association or the quality orders get launched automatically for a particular item, or for a particular account, or for all the accounts, and is it for a particular item or at a group level. Group is a quality group, so you can control it. So I think you can understand the permutations and combinations that you can play with it. You can do it for a group of items alone and leave the rest. You can do it for one item alone, leave the rest. It could be for one vendor alone, because repeatedly his products are being, he's sending defective products, or so on and so forth. So you can choose to use this module where you deem necessary, right? And the event type is where it tells you, product receipt is when I want this quality order to be launched, before or after the product receipt is posted, and so on and so forth. So this completely gives you the the control, to make the flow of operations in the system the way you want. The other interesting piece is in terms of the event blocking. So that tells you, if the quality order is not passed for the purchase that for the receipt that I received from the purchase order, I can go ahead and block this invoice. So when the finance is looking to book the bill, they won't be able to go ahead and book the bill in the system, because there is a quality order that's outstanding for this purchase order. So it's all tied in together, right? Okay. That is pretty much with respect to the quality management process overview that I wanted to show you. And before I hand it over to Deepika, I told you, I am going to take you to a place that is, let me just. So this is a feature management workspace that I'm going to take you to. The idea here is, any new feature that is getting added to finance and supply chain gets added here. And the good thing is, we can go and check here if any new feature has been released recently by Microsoft, which could help us. And then, just go ahead and enable this, try it out in your sandbox before you want to apply it to your production instance. So we have tried a lot of good features, that have come in here. There's a whole bunch of features, that are available here, and the features keep getting added, every now and then. So this is a true SaaS product where the product becomes better and better when we sleep.
Excellent. Thanks, Kamara, for your product knowledge and insights. It was very
Thank you.
informative. But before we hand it over to Deepika, before get into the AI portion of today's presentation, just got one quick question here for you, Kamara, just in the chat here. Is
Sure.
there a standard function to associate testing costs for quality order tests? It's just there in the chat.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Yes, there is a way to associate the quality charges to the item cost. Yeah.
Okay, I'll hand the floor over to you, Deepika.
Thank you, Shannon. Appreciate it. Premjit, are you going to be sharing the screen? So I hope everybody is having a great afternoon so far. And just like to say thank you so much, Kumar, for that very insightful session on finance and operations. And it was really fascinating. Now I'm going to switch gears to something that is totally different, but is very cutting edge. And I'm sure that all of you are going to be very excited to hear about how computer vision and AI can be used for defect detection, object detection, and other applications, specifically in manufacturing. Now, I'm Dr. Deepika Mirpuri. I'm the CEO of Brightpoint AI. Now, just to start, I'll answer a very simple question. What is computer vision and AI? Computer vision in AI simply means extracting information from videos and images. Now, the magic happens when the AI system is able to process that information and use and understand that information just like a human would in order to identify defects, classify and recognize objects, and many other things which I'm going to go over through these videos and images. The beauty of these vision systems that are powered by AI is that we are not bound to any particular brand of camera manufacturer. For many of these applications, pretty much any camera can be used. Once we get into the specifications of the defect, as in how minute the defect is, how fast the production line goes and things like that, then we obviously would recommend an industrial grade camera. But the point remains that we're not bound to use any specific manufacturer of a camera. Can we move on to the next slide? So computer vision can be used in a variety of industries. I'm going to talk about a couple of industries here because that's all the time we have. But just to mention a few, textile, food and beverages is a huge one, furniture and wood, pharma and healthcare. These are some of the industries where AI has made significant strides in the manufacturing arena specifically. And in today's webinar, because we have such limited time, I'd like to talk about how computer vision AI can be used in 3 different ways. Number 1 would be defect detection of the various stages of the product being manufactured. The second would be in quality inspection, mostly of the finished product. And the third area where computer vision is widely being used is object detection, which is slightly different from defect detection, and that could be used to ensure compliance for processes and protocols. Next slide, please. Let's talk about AI-powered defect detection. Now, the product being inspected can be on a moving production line. It could be a high-speed production line, or it could be in a QC area, typically, for smaller and more minute defects, like, say semiconductors, for instance, or chips, things like that. There's sometimes an area where the product is placed in order to do the quality inspection. So we could use this AI powered defect detection in any of these circumstances. Typically, the camera we use would have a high enough resolution because the defects that can be detected can be very tiny, about 1 millimeter and up. And also, we know that the production lines really run at breakneck speed sometimes. So based on that, the camera is recommended. Now, once we have the images from the camera, then the AI magic steps in and makes its recommendation, spots the defects, classifies the defects, and other things like that. It is capable, the AI software itself is capable of sending a signal, to an IoT device to stop the production line or to knock off the defective product from the production line if spotted, or simply stop the entire production line. Just to give you an example of, the alerts, and alerts can be configurable in many ways. So the software per se can be either on the cloud or it can be on premise. So both the ways are possible. And I'd like to demonstrate a little video. And that will just give you a little idea, and then I can go deeper into our specific use cases that we're working on for our customers. Premjit, please play the video.
DefectGuard, your ultimate solution for AI-powered defect detection. In the dynamic world of Industry 4.0, where efficiency is key, meet DefectGuard, an advanced defect detection system revolutionizing manufacturing across various industries. Our AI-driven technology ensures top-notch quality with adaptive AI and machine vision capabilities, actively monitoring for defects and adjusting to shifts in your environment. DefectGuard doesn't just detect defects, it empowers you with a real-time dashboard and alert system, providing actionable insights into your operations and supply chain. Our innovative system incorporates unsupervised learning, classifying defect types and uncovering novel ones. With each day, it gets smarter, offering unparalleled precision and accuracy. Unlike our competitors, we are not just AI, we are your partner. Price-friendly, easy to work with, flexible, and always innovative. We redefine the AI market. Yes, AI is new, but the results speak for themselves. Save 20% production cost. Increase output up to 400%. DefectGuard requires a brief optimization period for the highest accuracy. And we offer both cloud-based and on-premise solutions to suit your needs. Experience the transformation, minimize inferior quality production, reduce losses, save on manpower, and witness a remarkable increase in profitability. DefectGuard, AI-powered defect detection for smart factories.
So let's take a deeper dive into one specific use case that we have been working on for several of our clients in the textile industry for fabric defect detection. As you can see, we have several images on the screen here, which have these little bounding boxes over the defects that have been identified. First of all, defects have been detected, and secondly, these defects have been classified by our AI system. It's a little tiny, but basically these defects are, tiny themselves. They're 1 millimeter and up, and they are a variety of different defects. I've only showcased 6 here, but there are holes, there are warps, there are stains, slows, there's a lot of different types of defects that our system has been trained on and is capable of detecting. Now, along with the actual yes or no, this is a defect, and which type of defect this is. So that's what our system is capable of detecting. Along with that, we are also capable of detecting the actual size of the defect, how many defects are in a particular area, whether the defect is a major defect or a minor defect, and different calculations like that based on the use case. Now, as you can see, these defects are really small, and typically these production lines run really fast. So you can imagine that it's almost impossible for the human eye to spot these defects in real time and take corrective action. So the AI system is always on, as long as the production line is running, and is able to do this and store all these images and information along with the, say maybe the roll number, the manufacturer, other information, production order number, things like that. We can store all this information in a database for later use, as well as do more real-time actions in the sense of stopping the machine, or going back and correcting some yarn that may have got stuck somewhere, instead of rejecting the entire roll at the end of it all. So there's a huge ROI here in this particular use case, and our clients are extremely happy, by the output that they've been getting from this AI fabric defect detection solution. Can we go on the next slide, please? So along with a dashboard, where you can log in and it's secure, along with that, which we can also embed a camera feed into the dashboard itself, which will show you the real-time detection of these defects. And we also have analytics, which use historical data. And you can filter by year, month. You can filter by different types of fabrics. You can different types of defects, and you can get comprehensive reports as per your custom needs built in DefectGuard. And can you go on the next slide, please? So this just gives you an example that, the dashboard to the right-hand side actually has the live camera feed that is being displayed along with the defect that is captured with the bounding box. So the, the operator is capable of viewing that defect in real time and, making a quick decision of what to do next once that defect is spotted. So it's configurable. The system is configurable in a wide variety of ways, depending on the need and how your production processes work in your manufacturing factory. A note to keep in mind is that the AI model needs to be trained, and that training process takes a little bit of time. It is dependent on defective images, but we aim to start at 90% and then launch DefectGuard, and the accuracy only keeps getting higher as it runs more and more. So it's a self-learning model, and which can achieve high levels of accuracy after it's been running for a short amount of time. Can we move on to the next slide? So over here, this is a really fascinating use case that we're working on. It's a current project that we're working on for a client who's a furniture manufacturer. Now, before we play the video, I'd just like to highlight what we're trying to do here. So the requirement is that what you're seeing here is a finished good. It's at the stage that is just before the product is packaged and sent to the customer. So the aim of this particular piece of the project is to do a quality inspection of the finished product before it goes and gets packed and dispatched. The things that we're trying to spot here is that, what is the type of item? Are there cushions? How many cushions there are? Are there legs? How many legs there are, if there are legs? What is the pattern of the fabric? What is the pattern of the cushion? And things like that. So let's play the video, and then I'll just explain a little bit more what we're trying to do. So our AI system is smart enough to know that this is a unique sofa or unique piece of furniture that has is being loaded on to the QA area. And it captures the information from each unique piece of furniture along with the details that the customer has requested for. And this happens for every single piece of furniture that is loaded onto this QA area. Can we move on to the next slide? So basically, this is how the dashboard that we are working on for the client is looking like at this moment. It's still being worked upon, so you are not going to see everything here. Probably in a month or two, you'd see many more features being added here. But our system is smart enough to see the production order number. Each item can be tracked via a barcode. Now the barcode is again detected through the AI computer vision, recognizes and converts that barcode into a serial number. We have performed an integration with Dynamics supply chain, and we are fetching details about that particular customer's order, including things like which fabric is being used and how many cushions and if there are legs, what is the finish of the legs and things like that. And the AI software is able to detect all these things from the image and compare it with what's coming back from Dynamics. If there's any mismatch, then there's a beep being generated and a big red X at the quality control area. And the person who's doing the QC check knows there's something wrong and knows what is wrong. If there's a cushion missing or the wrong cushion was placed or things like that, that is also displayed on this dashboard. That's under progress, so that's why you're not seeing it right now, but that's the future state. And as you can see, individual images of the unique items are being captured and stored in a database for, so the history is being maintained of each item, each customer order that has been placed pretty much. It's being stored for future reference for other analytics and things like that. So, let's move on to the next slide, which is probably the last area that I'd like to talk about for today's webinar. So the area over here is object detection. Now, object detection is useful in a wide variety of scenarios. And in this particular video, I'm going to just show you how the AI system is smart enough to check if these employees are wearing their helmets and wearing their glasses. So let's take a quick look at this. So as you can see, the AI system is able to detect whether the factory worker is wearing a helmet, wearing glasses, wearing gloves or no gloves. And, we can configure it to pretty much alert the managers of these things. And object detection is actually very versatile because it can be used in so many different scenarios. Right now, we're working on a project for a client who wants to use object detection for loss prevention. So they're having some problems with, theft in their factories. And so we are placing cameras at different areas and actually tracking the movement of the product throughout the production process. And right before it's being loaded onto the dispatch vehicle. So we are able to tell at what stage what product is present, and if anything is being misappropriated, then we generate an alert. So there's so many different scenarios that the object detection can be used for. The entire life cycle of the product can be tracked via barcodes being attached to that particular product or components of the product. With that, I'm going to conclude my part of the presentation. And, I just want to say that this is a very exciting time, and it's a great time to consider using AI for your production processes, because the ROI is phenomenal. And from what feedback we've been getting, it's kind of like a no-brainer kind of investment. So definitely, if you need more information, we are always here, and you can contact us. We'll be happy to set up a one-on-one call with you. Back to you, Shannon.
Thank you, Deepika. So I think we're going to open up the floor here. Does anyone in the last few minutes here have any questions for the team that we can address on the call? And just to piggyback on what Deepika was stating there, we're very interested to have a one-on-one meeting, discuss how to get started, discuss the specific use cases, our AI assessments, and really kind of guide you through that process. It really just comes down to just having a little bit of discovery to figure out where it would be a good fit into your organization. But I'll just pause here in the last couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask?
I think there's a question in the chat. Can the AI defect detection integrate and update the quality management module in D365 SCM? Yes, integrations are very much possible. As I mentioned that for our one of our existing clients, we have done the integration with Dynamics. And in this case, it's fetching the information from Dynamics and comparing it with what the AI is detecting. But yes, we could do the reverse as well. We could, based on what is being detected, that information could be fed back into Dynamics for sure. And that's what BPIT specializes in, the integration experts. So in fact, this is a perfect marriage between AI and, ERP systems here. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think we're going to finish just a minute or two behind ahead of schedule. So we absolutely appreciate everyone's time today, taking 90 minutes out of your schedule to dedicate to this session. Hopefully, it was very informative on Microsoft Dynamics Finance and Operations. Give it a little bit of more background on Brightpoint and the competencies that we provide in the market, and then also our AI solutions. Very, very interested to engage. We have our contact information here. We can definitely set up some time to talk about some of your specific use cases and help you with a path forward. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We really appreciate your time. We look forward to
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Take care.
everyone.